When the narcissist knows you know. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So this is the day many people have been waiting for, when the narcissist finally knows that you know. Most of us, when we were in the relationship, had never figured out what kind of relationship we were a part of. Some of us have, specifically with the advent of the internet and the smartphone and the collective consciousness getting stronger and stronger. But most people figured it out when the relationship was over or it was too late. I was one of those people. Having said that, when the narcissist knows that you know, there are a couple different avenues they may take. Truth be told, there are way more than a few, but I'm going to illustrate 3 here today in this video. The first thing, when they know that you know, is they may begin to turn around and get on the defense more than ever and blame you and call you the narcissist and say that you're the toxic one, that you're the one who misbehaves or did all the negative things, and they may spin it right around on you. Now, when they did that, or if they did do that, you're accustomed to it, because this is called blame shifting. It's called projection. It's when the narcissist doesn't want to face the truth or the facts of their poor behavior, and they try to dump it on somebody else. But when you figure out who they are, that no longer sticks to you. Remember, all their toxicity was not only injected into you, yeah, it was, via their dirty fangs, think of a vampire if you will, but also their toxicity was all around you. And you were believing what they were telling you. Because again, you weren't taught this in school, so you didn't know what gaslighting was. You didn't know what triangulation was. You didn't know what projection was, or mirroring, and on and on. Now that you do, or when you finally do, you realize, wait, that's got nothing to do with me. That's their baggage. That's their problem. That's their disability. That's their disorder. That's got nothing to do with me. But see, back then you didn't know what you know now, so back then you were letting it stick to you, which is why I've shared in so many videos. This relationship you were a part of, it's akin to death by 1,000 paper cuts, but on top of that, you were being punished for being yourself. You could never do anything right. If you thought you did something right, you wouldn't get credit for it. You would be bewildered as to how the narcissist would continue to not treat you properly, how they would walk in front of you, how they would hang up on you, how they would sleep as far away from you as possible, meaning maybe in the same bed, maybe you went from roommates to roommates, maybe they were spending a little too much time on weekend trips with the girls, wink wink, or with the guys, who knows. But the narcissist was beginning to dismantle that relationship from the minute they knew that they had their dirty fangs sunken into. So the first part is, when the narcissist knows you know, they may begin to spin it right around and start blaming you. Essentially become really aggressive, have the loudest voice in the room, or in the argument, or in the conversation, or in the discussion. Of course, in that discussion will go nowhere, because the narcissist will never ever be accountable, and they won't introspect, and they won't meet you, or they could never meet you 50-50. They always had to come from a place of superiority, or from vulnerability, or from not knowing, or from blame shifting, etc. That's why you could never fix this unfixable relationship, and that's why each and every narcissistic relationship has an expiration date, which you are learning. So that's the first part, and I'll go back and touch on that more. The second thing the narcissist may do when they know that you know is they may disappear. Here comes the discard. Now, for yours truly, the discard happened literally 24 hours-ish after I put up a boundary. So that may have been your circumstance as well. Maybe the narcissist said, wait a minute, you're actually getting really close to what's going on here. I'm just about to hit the detonate the explosion on your life, full force, but you're going to beat me to it? No, not so fast. So I'm going to discard you even quicker. This is what the narcissist may do, because remember, the narcissist cannot face the truth. They cannot handle the truth. They can't introspect, as I shared. And what they want to do is, they don't just want to punish someone for being themselves. They want to destroy that person's life, and that's what a discard is. Truth be told, the narcissist is a parasite, as you know now, and they're looking for a host. You were the host in their eyes. Who you really are is a beautiful, bright, shining light, just like I am. But all these things I'm sharing with you is when the narcissist knows you know. I just illustrated the first one, the second one, and again, I'm going to come back and focus on all 3 of these things. The third thing that the narcissist may do is they may try to drag it out even longer, which means they're not going to get aggressive. They're not going to discard somebody. They're going to give a little mini love bomb. They're going to give a little dose of possibility of what you saw in the beginning of that relationship, or what would never be sustainable in the future. because they probably at that point, if this is what happened with you, they didn't have a supply source lined up, and they thought that you were going to be stuck in that web for a longer period of time. So this is going to make them have to look elsewhere a little bit quicker, or to ramp up their plans of destruction, not only with your life, but with other people's lives that perhaps they haven't even vetted yet. So that's another example. Remember, when you're in these relationships with the narcissist, there are only 3 outcomes. 3 and only 3. The first one is you get discarded, and that is not a pleasant experience to go through. But then again, the narcissistic relationship is not a pleasant experience, to say the least, to go through. Second thing that will happen is you will end the relationship yourself. Now, not many of us did that. For those of us who ended the relationship on our own terms, A+ for you. However, if you were in the relationship and discarded, or if you ended it yourself, any way you cut it, you were still in the relationship, and that is not a good experience. That's why it changed your life and rocked your world. But anyway, you cut it. Those are the first 2 ways these relationships end. And the third way is what I just touched on a moment ago. It's a person who is so beaten down and trapped that they are existing in the narcissistic fog. They're not living. They are definitely not thriving. They're not living their best life. They are so beaten down that they are subservient literally to the narcissist. And you can see these types of people all over the planet. Example, you have a couple, and it doesn't have to be a couple with the narcissist, but this is what I'm highlighting for this example. It's a couple, and say they're considerably older. They don't have to be, but let's say they are. Well, one of those 2 has a super loud voice. They're nonstop on the go, 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 go. They're talking a lot, and they won't let their partner get a word in edgewise. And the partner is probably sitting in a corner, not even on their smartphone. They're just looking down at the ground. Maybe there's a bottle of water in their hand. They look dejected. They look like they're there physically, but mentally they're not even close to being there. That's a person who is so beaten down that they have no voice, and the narcissist knows that. That is how the narcissist feeds off of people. They want to beat them down into submission. And this is what happened with me, and it's what happened with you. The thing is, those 3 examples, remember, you get discarded, you end it yourself, or you stay trapped. Those are the 3 examples. Just why I'm sharing this is that when you flip it, when the narcissist knows you know, there's only 3 choices here also. 1, they turn around and blame you and start really abusing you more and insert the new supply quicker. 2, they discard you. Or 3, they drag it out longer, and they try to keep you stuck longer and longer and longer. Now again, there are other avenues that could take place. Those are the 3 main that I'm highlighting for this video, which is why once you get the wisdom, you need to apply the tools. Once you see the light, you get the light bulb moments, you need to go no contact. You need to block that person, delete them, remove them and all flying monkeys and people associated with them. If not now, when? These people, the person you're considering, they don't improve. They only deteriorate over time. No matter what they say, they will never ever care about you. They won't love you. They won't be there for you. They have no empathy. What they do have is a bottomless pit within them. And that bottomless pit must be filled with what is known as supply. I've shared this in thousands of videos. Supply could be anything. It could be a pet, plane, train, automobile. It could be an article of clothing. It could be a phone. It could be communication. It could be a lack of communication. It could be a gift. It could be giving someone a coffee mug on their 50th birthday that said Feliz Cumpleaños from a 99-cent store with a big chip in it. It could be anything. But this is what the narcissist is doing consistently. They're on the search for supply. And once they get their supply sources, they are juggling multiple sources of supply. And as they're juggling those, the weaker supply sources to the narcissist, they will discard those people or not spend as much time with them, or try to string them along longer, and they will go for the people with the higher value, people with more money, or more assets, or more doors that can be opened, or more businesses that can be created, etc. But remember, when the narcissist needs supply, they don't care who it is. It could be somebody from your neighborhood. It could be somebody from a neighborhood that you would never visit in 1,000 years. This is why you never really knew who the narcissist was. And this is why when you were with the narcissist, sure, they may have been with you physically, but mentally they weren't with you. They were checked out. They were thinking to themselves, how much longer do I have to do this? This mask is getting so cumbersome. I can't believe this. When is this person going to figure out who I am? When can I pull the discard? When is the new supply going to wake up and realize that I'm trying to groom them and get them to insert and take this person's space? You see, the narcissist picture, if you will, a chessboard, and they are moving all the chess pieces around on the chessboard, but that chessboard isn't a game to play between two people that know they're playing the game. No, the narcissist has as many chess pieces on the chessboard as possible. I think there are 40 or so, maybe more. Those chess pieces are being moved around left, right, and center by the narcissist, because the narcissist is trying to call checkmate on anybody they can, which includes their own kids, their stepkids, their romantic relationships, the person that they were married to or are married to, the person they're cheating on, the other person they're cheating on, their former business associate, their current business associate, the priest, the pastor, the reverend, the neighbor, the person in the hot Pilates class, and more. The narcissist cares about not one person other than themselves, which is why once they know that you know, that's pretty much when the relationship will officially be over for you. Now, you may not understand that part right now. If you want the truth of how the relationship cycle goes with the narcissist, we know this already. It's love bomb / euphoric stage. Second part's the devaluation stage. Third part is the ending. Fourth part's potentially a Hoover. You need to become unhooverable. Do not ever accept a Hoover and get off the radar of the narcissist, which means go no contact. But having said those things, when the narcissist first met you, it was advantage them from the very first second they laid eyes on you until you figured out who they were. However, when you figured out what narcissism was, and maybe you are one of the people who right now is still in the relationship and you know who they are, that is a whole different element. That means you've experienced an awful lot of toxicity like I had, but you were wise enough or fortunate enough to figure it out when you were still in it. Doesn't make it any easier. Some could say it makes it harder to get out. Others could say make it easier. I'm not going to give you my opinion on that, but because any way you cut it, those of us who were in the narcissistic relationship, we had to fight for our life to get out of it. And many of us were discarded, and we didn't even know that a narcissist existed or a discard, or that would be fighting for our life. So if you are one of the people who is in it and you're looking to get out, the advantage you have is you now know what you're up against. It won't make it that much easier to get out, but at least you have information, and information is power. So I think you can read between the lines there. But when the narcissist knows you know, everything will change. Think about this. What does the narcissist love? Not only more than money, of course, it's your money, they love more than money, but they love to control emotions and the narrative and what people do and what they don't do and who they talk to and who they don't talk to. When a person, which perhaps in this case is you, puts up a boundary. Now, I'm not saying a huge boundary like the Great Wall of China. I'm talking about a boundary, meaning if the narcissist, this is when you were in it, if the narcissist texted you at, let's say 2 o'clock in the afternoon and said, hey, can you pick me up at 5? I really need a ride, blah, blah, blah. And let's say that you didn't get back to them intentionally till 4. Well, would there be a price to pay? Yeah, there would be a price you'd be paying. Maybe not in that exact moment, maybe later, but they wouldn't be happy. Also, they would be able to sense that something was different. You see, when you were in the relationship before you acquired the wisdom, if they said jump, you would say how high. So if they texted you, you would be scrambling to get to your phone to answer it, hoping it would be the narcissist. Guilty as charged right here, but that was then, this is now. So when you begin to put up boundaries, when I say put up a boundary, I'm not saying you explain it to the toxic person. You can do anything but. Remember, actions speak louder than words. So using this example of a boundary by not answering the phone or getting back to them for 2 hours, they can sense that. And they can pay attention to it, and they do pay attention to it. This taps into the sixth sense that the narcissist has. And I've touched on this for years. The narcissist is a predator, and their sixth sense allows them to figure out which person they can hone in on to take whatever they want from that person. That's what they use to get you trapped in the narcissistic fog and to get you trapped in the relationship, same as myself. But when you're pulling back and putting up a boundary organically like I just shared, they can sense that. So what are they going to do? They're going to test you and see if that was a one-off thing or if that's becoming a pattern or a habit. I hope you're following this. This is why the narcissist always is testing the temperature of everybody. They're seeing how much battery that person has life in them. What is battery? Battery is supply. It's how much energy you have. When you first met the narcissist, you were topped up. You probably had 100%. When the narcissist and you ended that relationship, or you were discarded, or you ended it, I can almost assure you were less than 5%. And what was the narcissist? They were topped up to 100 from all your supply and your energy. But of course, they blow through their supply sources every single second of their life. So they have to continue to top up. You have, your energy comes to you organically and naturally. You don't take anything from anybody. That's why you are the beautiful, bright, shining light that I talk about on the channel. That's what I am. See, Your energy comes natural. The narcissist has to steal it from people because they don't have it within them, which is why they have multiple smartphones, multiple people on the hook. It's why they can't regulate themselves. It's why they act so childish. It's why they can never, ever grow or develop. It's why they continue to stay stuck in that low vibrational quagmire state. They will never escape that. You may think, no, they're improving, they're not. They're not. I don't care how old the narcissist is, they all become the aging narcissist. They all continue to fumble their words. They all continue to rewrite the past, blame other people, say they did this, they didn't do this. They were so popular in school, they had the best clothes. It's all rhetoric. It's all nonsense. And the world is beginning to figure this out. That's why each and every day when I create a video, I pay it forward. And you, the community, wherever you are on the planet, and on all of the over 150 some countries, probably over 200 by these days, you're watching the content, you're getting stronger. As you get stronger, the narcissists, plural, get weaker. As they get weaker, we get clear in our mind. The clearer we get in our mind, the more we understand that we are the priority. We come first, second, third. And there's no room in our lives for toxicity, not only at the hands of the narcissist you're considering, but anybody. Which is why before I close the video, when the narcissist knows you know, they know the clock is ticking. And they know it's just a matter of time before that relationship will end. Now, they knew that when they first met you, but they weren't thinking about that in the beginning because you were the new shiny object. You were the new shiny toy. So they were excited about being able to groom you, to play with you, to mold you, to trick you, to trap you, to steal from you, to punish you. But as that relationship developed and proceeded through Father Time, they got accustomed to you. They got bored. They got jaded. They took you for granted, and you didn't have as much supply to give them any longer. And then what did they do? Well, they looked to replace you. But again, when they knew that you knew, maybe they weren't ready quite to replace you at that point. Truth be told, they probably weren't. And truth be told, you probably threw a monkey wrench in their plans, and they had to throw in a different source of supply so they could continue out with their plans, so they believed that they got the best of you. Well, they may have thought they got the best of you. They didn't. What they got was a person who put themselves back together and healed properly, and rose through the ashes like a phoenix, dusted themselves off by the bootstraps, and put themselves back together against all odds. That's what you've done. That's what I've done. It's something the narcissists couldn't fathom in their tiny little pea brain. They couldn't wrap their head around it. How could a human being do the unthinkable, the unimaginable, the unfathomable? How could they actually get out of a mental prison, a trauma bond, the narcissistic fog, the devaluation stage, despite the fact I blew up their whole existence via the smear campaign, flying monkeys, and I took everything from them. Their money, their health, their looks, their time, their hobbies, their emotions, and everything else. I took it all, but they made it. How did they make it? Well, you made it just like I did, because you are the beautiful, bright, shining light. And now you've been to hell and back, just like I have, and we are out. Once we're out, we stay out, which is why we do not give toxicity a second chance, which is why we have a one-strike rule. Remember, in the old days, we had 3 strikes, you're out, just like a baseball game. Strike 1, 2, 3. Well, now it's 1 strike. There are 8.3 billion people on the planet. You don't need to spend any time with anybody you don't want to, or who isn't giving you value for your conversation or your communication. That's why you need to really use your discernment, trust your instincts, trust your intuition, pay attention to red flags, embrace green flags, and leave toxicity in the past. So before I close the video, I'll share this. When the narcissist knows you know, that's when they realize that clock is about to expire, and they're going to really have to insert somebody quickly. And many times it throws a monkey wrench in their plans. Many times it's what they're looking for via reverse discard, etc. Whole point being is every narcissistic relationship has an expiration date. You didn't know it back then. I didn't. Now that we do, we need to stay as far away from these people and get as fast away from them as far as we possibly can, because these people don't change, and they know it. All they want to do is continue to trap people in the past and blame them. So that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, no matter where you are on the planet. You're not alone. I love you all, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. And there is a truck coming in, so I'm going to close the video. I love you. Enjoy yourselves. Bye, everybody. Bye.